Join in when you know the words. Good evening. And a new first person, and Narod von Baden. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and Arwad. Sean Paul Wood, excellent, good to see you. Yes, you are in early, well done. And Monica on early as well. Is only a live chat in the phone? No, there should be live chats on my computer. Should be working okay. Good to see so many people online. Fantastic. All right, hello to. Right, who's recognising the song? Special. I can't say why, but everyone knows why I'm playing this. But anyway, there you go. Brad Kemble. Hello, Brad. Hello, Marshall. Wow. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Mike. Everyone. Wow, loads of chat going on. Patricia, all the way from that country there. Hopefully we'll have Peter on as well. Very nice, Arnie. Very nice, very nice. Evening all, evening all. Hello, Andrew Whelan. I love it. The land of maple syrup. I love everyone comes back week after week. It's fantastic. See all my friends on here. It's fantastic. Who put the Arturius wooden cross in St. Peter's? Ah, that's nice, wasn't it? Hang on, who else is here? Alan Rees. Heathuch, yes, Heathuch. Peace, everyone. Good evening, John Windsor from a wet and windy Ruabon. Yes, the true North, strong and free. I think that's the name of the song. Yes, congratulations all Canadians. It's been pretty Canadian here this week. I think you know how cold it's been. We almost had some snow. Almost. We had hailstones for about half an hour, which is, which is bad weather for South Wales. All right, so as you've seen on the caption, going to do a big thing on the campaign of King Arthur the First. Right, if you're new to this, welcome. And we are growing, so there must be some new people every week. Just to let you know, history gets rewritten all the time, and British history has been massively rewritten for political reasons, lots of other reasons, with the big one really happening after the coup, where there's a coup and our crown was taken in 1688, and the coup is still in charge. So this is about the history that was taught in the schools, widely accepted. This was British history up until about 1700, all right, when everything got changed. And for good reasons, I suppose, because we got an old royal family. That's hiding. You're trying to hide on?
No.
That wasn't a bit. Oh, okay. We got a royal family which predates the ones on the throne by at least 1,000 years, depending on how you date it. 2,000 years, and then you've got a message about how Christianity started and everything, which doesn't suit the church. No, nothing suits. Nothing really fits. So there we go. Right. So also got some news as well this week. I haven't done much news last few weeks. We're going to jump into that as well. Right. Hang on, let's make this. Hopefully you can see that. I need to see as well, Arnie. I've got this thing up here. Oh! I have to admit, I sloped off slightly. I think it might all... Right, there we go. How about that for a good cover? There we go. So you can see here. Let's go straight in. Shall we with some news items? And I need to see the comments in a second. I think it's best, Arnie, if we take this down and you can move that up. Right, okay, now the good news is King Arthur Conspiracy is now going on pre-order and he's just setting it up. So this could not be hotter off the press's news within the last half an hour. last half an hour. So if you go to the books on Cumberglyphics, you should see this now in pre-orders. I'm hoping Andy's going to drop me a note or something. Let me know how we do this. You'll find it on the website. I'll do a separate video tomorrow as well, just to show the process and all that kind of thing, and the prices and all that. There is a big discount for pre-ordering, and the way it works is the pre-ordering money then pays for the print run, because print run's quite expensive. We need some help on that. So in return, you get a discount for your leap of faith, as it were. So it's going to be 2 volumes. This is the cover, as you'll see now. This is volume 1. I said put part 1. I'll change that back to volume 1. I think volume made sense. And as you can see, what I've done is added some of the examples here, which I've highlighted, of going back through. They're not geographically placed exactly. Like Agnoni tablet, you can see Etruscan writing on there. And then you've got stuff like Rhaetia, where Monica is. This is an old deer horn. And that writing, you can read that. It's Colburn British. You've got Etruscan writing, like this mirror, this bronze mirror here. You've got some of the ancient stones, which, again, they just read. I mean, this is the crazy thing about it. You've got this ancient British writing system called Colburn, which is supposed to be I know, made up or something, or just forged in 1800, and yet you can go all the way back to ancient times, and you can read stuff using it, all the way up then up to stuff in Scotland. You got this, which John Griffiths has done a new translation of, so I'm interested to do a comparison there, because what we have here, this is the, I don't know if I can zoom in, I don't think I can, no. That's what's called the St. Paul's Stone. It's found in St. Paul's Cathedral, 26 feet down, which makes it potentially very old, probably pre-Roman, almost bound to be at that depth. It's way below the Roman level, Roman era. It's actually been, because there's some cauldron down the side, that's been designated as Viking ruins, and some rather lame messages made up about 2 people who are buried there, which it's not even near the burial. But anyway, you can read all about that in the book, and then you can just read the cauldron. It's a little bit tricky, I have to say. It's not quite as easy as the hieroglyphs, the cumroglyphics. There's a couple of stones, so I hope you like that cover. And I've redone this bit up front. It says Volume 1 from Babylon to Britain, because if you remember last week, the blurb was there. The blurb's now gone to the back. It's been slightly changed. So Britain's most controversial historians reveal our ancient history and how it has been systematically suppressed. Includes how to read the ancient British writing system and how it can be traced back along the migration route to unlock Etruscan and solve many other mysteries along the way. So there you go, with barcodes on, ISBN numbers all done. And then Volume 2, Volume 2, right, to put more of fill up with a bit more of the writing. This is where you go to From Britain to America. I just want to read this, didn't I? Britain's most controversial historians reveal a history of King Arthur's journeys to North America 900 years before Columbus, and why this has been suppressed. Physical and written evidence, including ancient American, with an N, cave writing and how to read it. Alright, so you can see this is still being finished, this cover. So the cover you see on the website won't be exactly the same, okay? So there's possible migration routes. There's Britain, or Milford Haven, where it left from. You got the straight across and in through Mobile in Alabama. This is the Caribbean Gulf. There's that way in. There's also in through... Yeah, I'll have to redo this map a bit, I think. I might have to cheat on the map and make the Atlantic smaller and bring the 2 sides together. That was the problem. Because then you got all the stuff about Kentucky and all those areas. Also, there's good evidence that the place up in Nova Scotia, which has been allocated to being Viking, is actually, could all be British as well. I mean, there's nothing to say it's Viking particularly, or Scandinavian. And the other thing I like to look at, which isn't in this book particularly, is the journeys that Arthur II and that supposed to have made around Scandinavia, places like that. I suppose if people are new to the story, I should say something about it. And it's to do with 6th century, and the way Wilson and Blackett describe it, around about 562, this massive comet came crashing through Britain, blasted all the buildings, enormous devastation, bit like that one in Russia in 1908. Oh, I was getting the name wrong. Tuskamunka. Anyway, I'm sure someone will put it on the comments. And then it has the effect of making the country uninhabitable. You know, all the animals are dying, crops weren't growing, disease was spreading. So the British royal family and the army, and as many as they could, went over to Armorica. This is where it gets a bit confusing. Armorica, which is Brittany. This is where you got the confusion with America. And I reckon it might be more into that than simple name confusion. But so we'll come back to that another time. That's not in this book. This is the straight up the tin, Wilson and Blackett going through the historical records, telling us what they say and how the journey came about. So Volume 1 is a lot about the ancient British history, the migrations, a lot of suppressed history. It's fantastic. This is why it had to be 2 books. It's too big. Especially now we're adding indexes, a couple of appendixes, more pictures, more illustrations. You know, it becomes 2 big books. And here we got the second one, then, to the journey to America. Now you got this weird situation in North America where it's been decided by decree, by Powell, his name was, around about 1900, that there is nothing before Columbus that isn't Native American. Lots of political reasons for doing this. And it's nothing to do with being nice to First Nation Americans. Right? It's nothing. There's also some liberal, nice policy or diversity. It's nothing to do with that at all. Quite the opposite, actually. Because what it meant was, if you could show that there was no Christian presence, what they would consider to be non-barbaric peoples, then you can't just grab the land. This was the point. We'd had to have permission then. So you had to be guaranteed that this is how Brazil and Portugal divvied up the whole of South America. It was the null lands, it's the empty lands, no Christians there. You could go in and claim all the territory. Now, this Powell chap, and it's Rick Osman. Hello, Rick. About to have a catch-up, actually. I haven't spoken for a while. There's a couple of Rick Osman videos explaining this, where he talks to me about what was happening. And the amazing thing about it was that you had to be able to... so they wanted to claim... stop a second. The same person in charge of all the archaeology and looking at the historical evidence was also the same person in charge of planning the railroads. Now, as long as it's barbarian land, you can just tear straight through, put your railroad where you like. If you go around into the next part and you see a great big cross carved onto a cliff face, for example, which looks very Christian, and maybe some writing there, maybe even a Bible or something, and the Mandan tribes, that kind of stuff, you've got a problem. Because you're no longer the first Christians in that land. But as it turns out, you've got a lot of the ideal equipment to resolve the situation. You've got your dynamite, your navies, your digging crews, and you need a lot of ballast. You need a lot of broken stone. So it's a pretty easy job to scout out the area, look for the bits you want to blast them, and then you can use them. So heartbreaking to even imagine what's been lost. So you can't have this pre-Christian, early Christians. Now, where it goes flip the other way, of course, is the one you might have heard about, if you're not familiar to Wilson and Blackett's work, is about Merodach in the 13th century or the 12th century. Because this is where you had to play both sides at the same time. They say talk with forked tongue, or talking out both sides of your mouth. Because the English wanted to claim North America, so they had to say they'd been there previously. So that's when the Merodach story came in. But you couldn't be Maddock, because he was South Wales and part of the old royal family. It had to be Merodach from North Wales, who could be tied in with Llywelyn and therefore into the ancestry of the Stuarts, and then the Tudors, so Elizabeth I could make her claim. So they had to kind of make that story. And that's fairly well debunked as a hoax. But the 6th century one, which sounds almost the same, of course, doesn't get any coverage at all. All right. Oh, yeah. It's okay. So just a little background on the book. Be available through the website. And I think they're pretty big volumes. And where's the prices written down? $29.99 per volume. Or it's $50 for two. Or you can order $45 for two on the pre-order. I hope I got that right. Okay, I tend to leave all the books and everything to Angie, the commercial side. Okay, yes, what we're going to do today, boys, there are two Arthurs. So to clarify, this is King Arthur II. This is the one from the 6th century, round tables and all that kind of stuff. Camelot, all that kind of thing. But where it gets confusing, and one of the reasons Arthur's been ridiculed, is because there are, there's actually about 5 Arthurs, but there's 2 sort of famous Arthurs. And the first one was in the 4th century, as you'll see later, fighting the Romans, invading Europe, all that kind of stuff. All right? So we'll crack on to him. There's a bit about him in King Arthur Conspiracy book, but it's not specifically about him. What I want to do is next week I'll do more about Maddox's migration. Okay. All right, I'm not going to spend so long on this tonight, as I was going to, because I'm farting some behind schedule already. But I know if you check out the video I put up during the week, and I'm going to put some more links up because there's been loads. We had a wind turbine. If you're not aware of it, why this is on a history channel, it's because a lot of history, I know my area, Wales, right? But this is also happening across the land, up in Scotland, all around the world, really. It's a scam. These things are dangerous. They don't save the planet. They don't even recoup the energy needed to make them and transport them, okay? So, and we had one fall down How far from here would it be? 10, 12 miles from here? He's collapsed. So that's quite a big thing. And looking into it, there's some more links here of videos about them killing bats. There's the top 10 fails, catching fire, blowing up, all sorts of things. And in some countries now, I think Finland was the first, you're not allowed to have any wind turbines within 2 kilometres minimum. So that's about 1.5 miles of any homes at all. So if that rule was brought in around here, then the farms wouldn't work because they're putting them very close to where people live. I don't want to dwell on that. Monica's book. I should have the link up there. I will get the link on the description. Just come to me for a second. So, well done, Monica. She sent 2 copies, one for myself and one for Alan and Barham. That's very generous. Thank you very much. I'll be delivering it. Unfortunately, we're stuck in this stupid storm at the moment, or bad weather as we used to call it when I was a boy. And the trip's been postponed a few weeks, so I won't be running it up there just this week. But I have to say, it's a beautiful looking book. Good looking Arthur character on the front. It's hardback, it's big, it's colourful. It's I haven't read it yet. It's in German, so if you're a German speaker, there's loads and loads of pictures. It's nice big text. There's loads of information. I had a look through. I need to work on my German. And there's colour throughout, colour print, colour pictures. So all in all, you're getting a lot of book for your bucks. A lot of book for your bucks there. And it's it's all based on Wilson and Blackett's work. You can see a picture there of the young bucks on the Arcturus Rex cover. Yeah, so it's exciting. I'm going to enjoy reading this. I used to speak fairly good German, but with languages, you don't use it, you lose it. All right, so I need to practice my German. So well done, Monica. Thank you for that. And I can have a Zoom chat with Monica, hopefully this week. We'll put the interview up, and Monica can tell us more about the book, and I'll put up a link to how you can buy it and all that kind of thing. So there's good stuff there. Right, Annie, can we put them up here so I can see the comments? We can move this away. Right, okay, so we've got a few news stories this week. So what have we got? From Ivian Wynne Williams. British birdwatcher accidentally discovers 1,300 pieces of buried treasure. Right, now I'm going to have to just... You couldn't see that, could you? Because I'm going to have to get the link off here. I haven't got my links queued up. Uh-oh. So my links queued up at this point. Right, okay. Thank you. Come on. Right, okay, you can see what I'm doing now. Right, now this is cool, right? So one of the things to look at is this constant, go away. This suppression of the history just goes on and on and on and on. It's weird. It was a conspiracy, all right? People don't like the word. Nothing wrong with the word conspiracy, like King Arthur Conspiracy, the book. You can see the conspiracy, how it was done, how it happened. Now, the marvellous thing about this system is it's not so much a conspiracy anymore, because once you've set up the structure, the education structure, then that gets passed to the next generation, Suddenly you've got 2 or 3 generations. You can let this run. I mean, you've got an examination system and a peer review system whereby unless the people who are running the show accept what you say, you can't get qualified. This is the sort of the fundamental flaw with a peer review system. It creates stagnation. I don't know how many of the breakthroughs we have in any subject would happen under the modern system. They just unpopular ideas, right back to Galileo or something. One of the things you get is people say, "Where's your peer reviewed paper for whatever it is?" Well, you can't get it peer reviewed because it's directly contradicting what the people who do the reviewing are likely to say. So this is quite an interesting one. Here we go. So thank you to Ivion for this one. British birdwatcher accidentally discovers 1,300 pieces of buried treasure. Wow, look at that. So you can read all about how he found it. They always love these details, don't they? And he was magpies frolicking in a field and blah, blah, blah. All this fluff. And he found it 18 inches below. But what's more importantly... Right, the coins found by the bird are especially historically important. Experts believe... Now listen, it's a bit weird, this is. This doesn't quite make sense. These coins, known as staters, were minted and likely buried during the reign of Boudicca. Now, Boudicca's uprising was supposed to be about 61 AD, I think. So we're talking 1st century. She reigned over the Iceni tribe, whose lands covered modern-day Norfolk. I think it's a bit larger than that, but there you go. So if you know the story of Boadicea, after her husband's death, the fierce leader, well, the Romans badly abused her, so they wanted all the land rather than sharing it with her. So anyway, it was an uprising. According to Tacitus, who increasingly looking dodgy, but I don't think the stories are dodgy. You have to understand, there's a faking going on and copying. Plus we'll come back to that during the week. Right, so we got the Iron Age Horde. Now, one of the things I like to do, hopefully I'm not hiding it in my head. Oh, my head's down the bottom this week. I forgot I moved it down the bottom. Right, so I need to move this a bit higher. Now, one thing I noticed here, I like people to look at, is these things. I wonder what they are. And if you turn it round and everything, do you get a different shape in that? Because on the coin we looked at the other day, it had a horse on it, which also is made up of these sort of shapes. So I think there's more to it. And this one as well. They're not very helpful pictures. Some sort of dragon or something like that. They reckon this... See, this coin dates from about 20 BC to 10. So that's well before Boadicea. Anyway, into the turbulent times of the warrior queen Boadicea, who came after the coins. I suppose coins be knocking around, but there's a lot of them. And this is another thing I noticed as well. 1300, they're handmade coins because they're British. Made the same way as the Roman coins, but they sort of imply that there was some sort of industrial revolution we missed out on. Great big factories knocking these out. So these are actually acknowledged as British coins, and thousands of them, and it's before the Romans. Well, it's before the Romans here, and then it's after the Romans there. So it depends which sentence you read, all right? But I'm calling that as some recognition for British, which is good. Hang on a second. All right, so thank you, Ivy and Wynne Williams, for that one. And the link will be in the description. Been running a bit behind today, getting those covers done and everything. So come back and have a look. Right, Chris Newell noticed this. If you are the angles of... This is the Arwen sign, okay? So I hope people recognise. Hang on a second. I'm going to have to do this way. Right. Can't quite see still. Desperately trying to get the books up for sale and everything in time. Can you move across a bit? Right. There we go. Lovely. Now I can see some comments now. Excellent. There we go. Please fire away any questions on that as well. Right. Hello, Chris. Okay. Right. So what Chris Newell noticed was the angle here works out to 23.5 degrees, which is, we are told, is the same as the tilt of the Earth relative to the Sun, which is why we have seasons and things, because it's instead of being like that, the Earth's like that, so we take our turns moving around. There you go, it's interesting. So I got out the copies of Barddas, the old bardic books, had a look at those, and it turns out, sure enough, it is based on something like that. It's to do with the alignment of the Sun, different times of the day, there's all sorts of theories. As David has pointed out, which time of year are you talking about? Because, you know, the length of a day and the declination, how high the sun is in the sky, changes throughout the year. But you can do this, so you can get this angle. Now, the Awen is the most ancient symbol. It's got many, many different meanings. So this one would add quite an interesting one, and it is mentioned in the Barddas book. So well done, Chris, for spotting that. Just so you're aware, there's supposed to be the 3 strokes, the first 3 letters in the Colburn alphabet, which is sort of A-I-O. So it's A-O is supposed to be the secret name of God. Oop, just blown that. So you got that part of it, and it's also figuratively the rays of sun coming down from the sky. Another way of looking at it is the angles, different times of the day. So in the Barddas, for example, it says this is the morning sun, noon sun, evening sun. Now, of course, what I'd like to do is, if anyone out there could help on this, if you can find ancient Awens, I think you probably have to look on the internet, it's probably the easiest. Find the ancient ones on stones and things, or what they call turkey feet in America, which turns out to be Awen from the Welsh migration. Check the angles. See if they're consistent. I've got a feeling I've seen some quite a bit wider, so I'd be interested to hear about that. Because the other place you see these, of course, is the British government took them over and used them as markings on cannons and the famous cartoons. You always see the prisoner with a little arrow on his shirt. Well, that's that is. Comes from the Arwen. Now, Tim Lewis, thank you very much. My old mate Tim. Oop, I do apologise for not getting this quite ready yet. Right, excellent. There we go. I can now see two screens. Right, now if you if you haven't been to Wales for a while, don't go down the A4119. You're going to be heartbroken. I know I'm very upset every time I go there. Ah, great, I can see the comments now. Yeah, I wonder what angle the pyramids are. Yeah, that's a good question, Dean. A lot depends which way you look at them. Because you've got a triangle which is leaned away from you. And that makes a big difference to the angle. And then you've got the angle between two walls. It's a good subject to look at, the angles on pyramids. Right, now this is the Llantrisant Road coming out of Cardiff, which up until a few years ago was fields, hedges, trees. Oh, man. Do you know, have you seen the Wales Vision 2040? There's going to be 7,500 new houses built in Wales every year for the next 20 years. It's like 150,000 homes with whatever number of people per home. I don't know, 4 is it maybe the average? I don't know. So that's putting another, what's that, 600,000 to 1 million on the population. We're talking big numbers here. I don't think people get any idea. So all this area is all fields. Not when I were a boy, but when my boys were boys, about 5 years ago. So they're still building. As you can see in the building works, and as they've been going along, they come across this big stone, which Tim very bravely climbed in to have a look and get some photographs before it's too late. So they have stood it up. I think it had fallen over from what Tim tells me. So have a look at this. You can see anything on the stone. Tim did 3 sides. See, there's some sort of markings on here. It was called Maes y Lech Farm. Now, Maes is usually place, and Lech can be something to do with the lights or worship or something. So I don't know. Can we see something here? Is this some sort of lettering? It's a lovely photograph Tim's taken. To me, it's almost... I don't want to say anything because I think I can see something here. And I don't want to put the idea in people's minds before they look. It might not be significant. It might just be used as a gatepost. But it is tragic. It's a big old stone. It looks like it had some sort of purpose. But it's going to be gone, I'm sure. I can't imagine they're going to build around it. So there we go, another bit's gone. There's the other side. There we are. So you can see some fields and hedges are still left up in that top corner, but sadly not for much longer. The whole lot's going to be built. I don't know where the traffic's going to go because it already doesn't move. So anyway, he's got this fantastic huge stone. So I'm just going to go back one more time. Here's the first picture. There's this area here is where I'm thinking might be something. And there it is again. We get the answers. Lech to do with stars. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to. I did look it up actually. Yeah. Right. Okay. Now I've got a free download. Again, you can copy the link off here. It's all copyright free. Jolly decent bunch. TheDowsers.org. In America, they produce this great little 4-3-2-1 of dowsing. I was also sent a wonderful present, a guide to dowsing, big thick book. Oh, so I've probably got it in the kitchen because I have been reading it.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, you see me reading it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I didn't realise there's so much to dowsing, or I'm just being so written about it. The whole thing, I have to say, I mean, all I've done is I got to keep my rods next to me here. I just get them out. And I just use them without too much thought, I think. Yeah, there we go. I'll try not to move. Show me the cup of tea. Show me the cup of tea. Yeah, and they cross over the cup of tea. You know? There we are. Move away from the tea. And the uncross, look. So I don't know. I don't think I'm special or anything. I'm sure other people can do this as well. Just give it a go. It's quite remarkable. I'll just do it again just to show you. I'll put the...
It is cool.
It is very cool, isn't it? Yeah, so they're open. Okay, show me the cup of tea. And there we are. So I'm quite confident now because I know it works every time. See them crossing? Brilliant, isn't it? And the other one I could do, if I put that over there, is, let's see if this works. Show me the tea. Show me the cup of tea. Ooh. Oh, it's come around this way. Oh, there we go. I was wondering how I was going to get there then. There it is, pointing to it. I thought you'd gone the wrong way for a second then. I had a shock.
It's really cool.
It is amazing, isn't it? So you can point to things, you can cross over things. You can generally do it. Try it. So, but anyway, people have put more science into it. Did you find the big book, huh?
No, we could not.
Oh, no, it's in the kitchen. I was reading it. Anyway, there's all sorts of ideas and theories on why it works and how it works. Special dowsing rods and sets you can get and all that. Just grab anything. It'll work fine, okay? But this has got some nice little ideas in it. It's only a small thing. And I don't know. It's still quite a new thing to me. I'm still getting my head around it. Okay. Right, I'm going to have to crack on a bit, aren't I? Oh, no, we're okay. We're okay. Right, you've heard of King Arthur. But what about the others? 90%. Oh, yeah, I've got to do a link to this article. I have to do this. Just bear with me a second. Yeah, 90% of medieval manuscripts. I haven't put the links up this time. Hang on, I've got to get the link out. I'll show you the article. Because this is bizarre. This is bizarre. I'm trying to remember who shared this one on the Facebook group. So if you go to Facebook, it's Britain's Hidden History. There's a couple of thousand people on there. Lots of chance to discuss things and look at articles and stuff like that, okay? And people share finds and people send me things I'm very grateful for. Nearly all the stuff I share is being sent to me by someone else, okay? So I'll thank the person when I look up the name in a second. Right. A statistical model. My degree was in that kind of thing, all right? Maths and stats, creating models and everything. You can make them say anything, all right? Load of nonsense. As we know what's going on in lots of things at the moment in the news and stuff. So it used to estimate the loss of medieval stories from across Europe. All right, fine. In England, 90% of medieval chivalry and heroism manuscripts were lost. This is the old what's his name? Dick Cheney on it. We know what we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know, and all that stuff. But in Iceland, 3/4 survive. I'd love to know how they did this model. I should look more deeply into it. Anyway, they're suggesting that dissolution of monasteries was a big problem. All right? Okay. So you've probably heard of King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table. But not they. Anyway. Now, this is weird, okay? Because we'd agree with a lot of the stuff has been lost. But we're talking older. And the older stuff was in Welsh or Latin, maybe. All right. But that's the old language of Britain, okay? So you're talking about the old triads, Black Book of Carmarthen, all these old stories and everything, all right? But this doesn't come into it at all. It's so weird. There we go, look at this, right? So researchers from Oxford University have analysed the survival of medieval stories across Europe and found extremely varying results. Pictured is a lavishly illustrated German manuscript containing the Arthurian romance of Wiggelwa. Alright, so this is later medieval copies and, the Arthur story spread. So we got Dutch, English, German. Oh, come on, I can't see the last language. I can't remember what it was. What was the last language? I'll have to go this way. French. There we go, French. Hang on, French. Dutch, English, German, French. Well, where's the Welsh on there or the Latin on there? It's bizarre, isn't it? What kind of research is this? It's like it's bad enough being written out of history and having all the documents destroyed. It's another one, but when they're talking about countries with destroyed documents not getting mentioned. So unsurprisingly, well, I suppose it is a bit surprising, the English stuff's in England, but Wales is kind of removed from this. I don't know, I just don't understand. So in this study, the researchers apply statistical models used in ecology to estimate the loss of medieval stories. So we got Dr. Katarzyna Anna Kapitan, an Old Norse philologist and junior research fellow at Oxford University, says we estimate 90% has been lost. 90% of books were lost in England. It's weird, isn't it? Irish books are best reserved. And again, Wales just doesn't exist. Very, very strange piece of research. We got German stuff, we got Dutch stuff, we got French stuff, Irish, Bishop's Hat, there's something written on it. There you go. Oh, hang on, what do we know? That's right, there was another thing. What do we know about the legend of King Arthur? Maya did myth and folklore, fair enough. Oh, historians generally agree that Arthur himself probably did not exist. Well, that's news to me. I thought most people agree he did exist. We couldn't work out exactly all the details. Ah, right. This is handy because we'd have mentioned this. The 410 AD, the Romans pulled their troops out of Britain. Right, anyway, you can read that yourself. I'm going to have to crack on a bit. I don't know why. Weird article, because they suddenly decide they're going to have a lay into Arthur as well then. So, that one is curious. How do I do this again? Okay. So I'm sorry I've forgotten who sent that article. Right, now this. Right, now we're getting to the main thing, okay? How are we doing there, Arnie B? We're okay? I should think the genealogies and histories for himself is all the great migrations. Yes, Marchel's book is charging along, so that'll be coming out soon, and we're looking forward to promoting that, helping Marchel, making that a big success. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. Right, okay, so Russell Spencer down. Let you know about Russell. Russell's been involved in this, Wilson and Blackett, Britain Hidden History, the whole thing, decades before I started. He goes way back. Helped Alan and Barham back when they're doing their digs, their research. Still got some people going from that era. So Pete Sundman, he's around. I see Pete, haven't seen him for a while. And we got Russell. He worked with Mandy, you know, who provides loads of stories, loads of information. And he's one of those people who's right there keeping this going right back to, God, at least the 90s, probably earlier than that. All right? So thank you very much to Russell. He no longer lives in the UK, well, not at the moment. He might come back. And he was sorting through, and he's found some old documents, a bit creased and everything, which was sent to him back in the day by Wilson and Blackett, all right? So they're absolutely fantastic. Now this one here, as you can see, is a family tree, which I think is more or less the same as the family tree that we've already got that's in Glamorgan and Gwent. I need to check the details. Here's the main line that we're interested in. There's Arthur 1 we're going to talk about, okay? And as you can see here, one thing I want to point out, right, I think Russell sent this back in, I don't know, copyright 1989, all right? Is that Wilson and Blackett made it, sorry I got a bit of a sniffle, quite clear that Anun or Artun, there's different spellings, all right? Because one of the terrible slanders or libels going round, you see it on the internet repeated, is it was repeated to me just a month or so ago that Wilson and Blackett made it up and it says Anun in the records and they changed it to Artun. No, there's lots of different spellings. Wilson and Blackett very clear. Yes, sometimes it appears as Anun, Artun. Back in the day, they were not as worried about spelling. People made spelling mistakes and things like that, or changed spelling. Shakespeare famously could spell things randomly, you know. The point was to convey your message, not to follow the spelling rules, which I think, you know, they're quite new. That's probably a 17th century invention anyway. A lot of our weird spellings, especially in English. You know, how many ways can you say O-U-G-H? Through, boff, cough, there's 8 different ways of pronouncing it. I can't think of any now. Borough. Hey, you know what I mean. So here's the main lines. Here's Arthur the First we can talk about. Son of Kyndrec and Magnus Maximus, or Mascum Ledig, Emperor of the West. I'm going to do a little bit of background on this, okay? Just to... Arnie, can you find the blue hardback book that was here in all my notes?
Blue hardback?
Yep, it was right there.
That one? Or is it one that you...
No, it's the one I've written in, the handwritten in. It's A4, quite big.
Oh, notebook.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it?
Right, okay, so there's the main line. Tathel, Tytherin, Tythfelt, Tudrig, Myrig, and then we get to Arthur 2. Thank you very much. And I usually wing it anyway, don't I? Those who've watched this for a while know that... look at this, look at this, look at this! I did loads of work today. That's why I'm tired now and I run out of time. Because I just got wrapped up in it. And this is what started it. All your fault, Russell. Because you sent me these fantastic documents, which are like gold dust. I love it. Find anything old like this. Then look at this. We got another thing then. Early Midlands Premercian Princes. So this, if you're not aware of it, this is a reference to, the Mercians, Wilson and Blackett's argument that they're actually the Vandals. And one of the ways you can see it is from the early names. So this has been appearing in their work, and I've got in other notes, but with this artwork and everything, it's really cool. I'm trying to work out what happened with this. And it's been, this is how they used to do typesetting. There's so many things about this document I love, just from the production of it. So you can almost see here, by the difference in colour, that they typed these, cut them out, and then glue them to the pages. That's how hard it was for them to produce these books. These great big books. When you look at the family trees, all that kind of thing, it's not like me using, equivalent of Photoshop and all these graphic packages and all that. They did old school with typewriters, and these things will have been cut out, and you can see the edges where they've been cut and stuck. Proper cut and paste, like I used to do when I worked on my college newspaper. I used to get the print used to come back, and these called bromides. It's in long strips about that wide. Beautiful, this white shiny stuff, like a plastic paper, with a very black print on it. Just a long strip of it. And what you'd have to do then, you'd have these layout boards, well, the size of a big newspaper, proper size newspaper, with blue grid on it, which wouldn't show up on the scans. And then you'd literally cut and paste. I think people kind of believe this happened in my lifetime. It's not long ago. You get a sharp scalpel, your metal ruler, and you'd work out how much would fit on the page, and you'd cut it. You cut out the headlines. You get your photographs. You cut them to size. Then you get this, what's it called? You get tape with little black lines and stuff on it, like letraset type stuff. And you put that down to form the little margins and the gaps. And I think a work of art, I should show you some of the old newspapers. I've still got some. You can see where I used to be editor on LSE paper. And I was very serious in my approach to editing. I mean, it was serious, but it wasn't like politics, that side. It was student stuff. But when you look at some of the page, you can see some of the words are a bit wonky and stuff, because if you do it all, then it wouldn't quite fit, and you'd be left with one line. And that's their problem, so you've got to sort of shuffle the columns back. So what you'd have to do is that's the other thing, yes, you cut off the piece you want to fit on the newspaper, all right? And then we'd have this hot roller. You plug it in, and like a little bath of wax. And the wax would get hot and stick on the roller. So you'd run that on the back. I mean, it's ridiculously primitive now, isn't it? And you'd stick that on these boards, try and get it nice and straight. So sometimes you do the whole story and you're like, a little bit won't quite fit. And like, ugh. So you have to move the first one up a bit, and then slice a bit off the next column and move that to the bottom of this one, which means you've now got a slightly shorter column. So then you cut the top off the next one and move that to fill that gap, and the trouble is, if you fiddle with it too much, you'd end up with all these lines going all over the place. So ideally, you should work it out and do it properly, But layout was great fun. It was the most fun of putting a newspaper together was the layout job. Try and get a few of you together and have a good laugh while you did it. But anyway, so you can see a similar method here, but I don't think they had any of those fancy tools. But I can see, just looking at it, the way this is cut. This is all done by hand. Amazing. And then this would be a photocopy, or they bought themselves a used to call them cassettener back in the days. I'm not sure what the proper name for them is. We could run off copies. And then they stick the books together. I mean, it's just amazing what they did, really. So there you go, sheer determination. And the artwork, the pictures, that looks like Barham's style. This one looks slightly different, but there we are, it probably is. Right, this is what we're going to look at in a second. I've lifted this off and redrawn it, all right, to make it a little bit easier to see on screen, and what's said here as well. This is what we're going to go through. I saw this and I thought, I've been talking about for ages about talking about after the first. I've never actually done it, and it's a big part of history. That's important. These numbered are British king numbers. All right, so if you're not aware of British royal family, goes back to about 500 BC. I mean the ancient British, not the current Germanic English, not the Saxe, Coburg, Goethers, but the old. They had a family name, really. Well, there were a couple of families, but they were named after the early kings. Okay, so you got the king number 25, 26, 27. Slightly changed it. Oh, right, we've got some comments here. What's this up? Arnie Ross, the coin you had up earlier could be... Oh, it's David. Hello, David. By the drawings... I can't read that word. What's that there?
Geotrigs.
Geotrigs. The design means dwellers by the sea. Oh, thanks for that, David. Try and get back to the coin at the end. Thank you. The David's got on that era. Right, okay. Then Constantine. Anyway, we'll go through all this. I just thought you'd like to see it. This has been... this looks slightly different. Looks like it's been printed and stuff added. No, you can see it's been cut out because it cuts into the drawing there. And then we got some more stuff there looking at the sources, how they get it. So this stuff goes all the way back to the early researches before they put it together into the books. And I've still got reams of it. Not quite as cute as this with the pictures and everything on it. Most of it is just typed or handwritten. And it's an absolute joy to go through. But it does need put into books. So there'll be some new books. As soon as we get this King Arthur conspiracy out, slight break and on to the next one. Look at this, fantastic. And I've got these family trees, and I've also got the big map, which Wilson and Blackett gave me, which shows all the British royal families all coming down, right down to, there's a gap, but all the way down to QE2, the current queen. So God bless her. So here we have Arthur file down here, look. See, there's other Arthurs as well. People don't realise there's about 5 Arthurs. But that's the ones, the famous ones. Arthur 2. Oh, and Arthur 1's just off the top here. There's Elub, Ninio. Right, we're going to talk about these in a second. So I thought people like to see that. Here's another Arthur. Look, Arthur. So people, a lot of times, you have to be aware of, people go, oh, Wilson Blackett just taken that Arthur guy and said he's the King Arthur. Like, no, we're aware of Arthur at Reese. And there's another, this gets really confusing, you see, because you've got another Arthur here. And around here somewhere, where's the other one? There's another one here somewhere. There should be another Arthur. Oh, there it is, Arthurius. Arthurius at Fernville. And even more confusingly, off the top of my head, don't quote me on this one, but here's another Myrig there. But I don't think the throne went from Fernville to Arthurius, if it went to him at all. It's like, it was a common name. Now, oh yeah, this comes on to something which came up today. Where was I reading this one? Oh yeah, I think I put in the little video I put it earlier. Yeah, put the video up a few hours ago because I was doing the prep for this evening. And I kept finding so much interesting things. I just got carried away. As you can see, I've written pages of, you might be able to see, but I've written pages of notes. I was just loving it, you know. What I was trying to do then, bad timing, the day of the show, was try and work out the exact chronology of what is the supposedly Roman Britain era. So a lot of things clicking on in my mind. Now, we talk about this 400 years. So what, you know, they say 400 years of Roman Britain or Roman rule. Well, even from consensus history, that doesn't work. All right? Immediately doesn't work. You've got Claudius not coming till 40-50, around about 50 AD. And if officially Romans left 410, well, even that's not 400 years. Even that's 360. It's just nonsense, okay? Excuse me a second. Oh. A whole thing. I need to just blow my nose properly. Right. So even that's nonsense. And you start pulling out the holes all the way through it, as Wilson and Blackett have done. And I'm going to go through in a second, just to give an idea. I couldn't remember all that off the top of my head because it's all new. I will learn it. And one way to learn things is to talk to your friends about it. I find trying to explain things, you're forced to remember then. Okay, but if you look on here, you'll see plenty of Arthurs, plenty of Myrigs, plenty of Rheses. So when people say, oh yeah, that Arthur was just some lowly king of David, or he was just this third son, or whatever, or quite possibly, all right? But that's not the ones we're talking about. Not this Arthur, not this Arthur, not that Arthurius. 2 Arthurs, one off the top of this, up there somewhere, and Arthur 2, the famous one. Okay. Right. So here we go. There's the campaign map. So just to remind you what I've done here. All I've done is take... where's it gone? There, that one. See that map there? Alright, I should do the pretty soldiers as well. I've just redrawn it, okay? Nothing's changed. Alright, nothing's changed. I've just redrawn it a bit like that. Right. Now then, what I'm going to do, just give a little bit of background, okay? So a little bit of story time a second. Because I'm going to go back a little bit of background to who Arthur I was. Okay, and it only makes sense if we do a little bit of background on the politics and the British royal family. Right, so first what we do is go back to Cradock ap Bran, who was, according to Wilson Blackett, he was elected as king to fight the Romans. So that's about 43 AD. Okay, now he was captured, of course, in 51 AD, betrayed by, I always get her name wrong, Argwedd Foeldaug, the Queen of Brigantes. So she's the one who betrayed him then to the Romans. And this is, we get into all that stuff about where Jesus is buried book. We get about the start of Christianity. Did they meet Paul there? And Paul was a Christian. And they came back and brought the Christian message with them, as is the general story, the one we taught in school, the one that goes around the place. Well, if it's acknowledged at all that Britain had Christianity, that's the way it came about. Or as Wilson and Blackett see it, Paul might not have been ever in Rome. That whole thing might be different. He might have come to Britain, and he's certainly involved in Christianity, but he wasn't. His role was very, very different, as you'll see in the book. So what happens on the Wilson and Blackett version, which is in the Where Jesus is Buried book, is that the Holy Family, after the crucifixion, fled or travelled to Britain, where they had people who'd already migrated there, who were similar religion. We've got the whole thing about the Druids, similarities between Druidism or Buddhism, or Bardism, Buddhism, and the Christian message, the early Christian message, before it was changed. This involved reincarnation, and you didn't have the concepts of purgatory and sin and those kind of stuff. You had other ideas. So that's the kind of Christianity we're talking about. And then the British Embassy in Rome became like a Christian centre for about 7 years. And not everyone's aware that Cradock then went back to Britain and seems to be buried at the place named for him, Cradock, which is up by St. Peter's Church next to Brynnar, which is their first century church there, which is, it's like a sort of burial ground of the British kings. It's like a Valley of the Kings. Loads of old British kings are there, but there are a few of those around Britain. All right. Now, an interesting point, which I'd like to see some comments on. Wilson and Blackett mentioned that the fighting continued against the Romans. Now, I've read accounts where Cradock honoured his parley, his what do you call it? Probation. I forgot the word now. Anyway, he gave his word he wouldn't fight again, and his brother Arthur Argos does the fighting from then on, and he lives out to old age in Britain, arranging the politics, it would seem, marriages, stuff like that. All right, so what we have then, we're going to jump forward now over 100 years, because the fighting continued. Then you got the whole thing. Actually, I've taken this mostly from the Charters book, Arthur and the Charters. It is in other writings by Wilson and Blackett, and their position does change slightly over time on a couple of small things. So then we move up to about 170, when Llywelyn made Christianity the official religion of Britain, about 170 AD. And it's important to mention it, and we've got lots of evidence for it. Not just from a sort of religious or Christian point of view. But the other thing we need to bear in mind is it shows a level of independence. Because you have things like their persecutions. The Romans, this idea the Romans started Christianity is a bit crazy when you think about it. They were constantly slaughtering Christians. If you go with their consensus history, which I've got a lot of problems with, but it's their version, it's their game. You've got the Colosseum, you've got Christians being burnt, fed to lions, all sorts of persecutions going on. Not in Britain. The only persecutions in Britain were aggressively opposed by the British kings. And there's only a couple, like Alban for St. Albans, who's a Roman, and there's about 3 altogether. That's all you get martyrs in Britain. Because the kings there were supporting Christianity. Now, one of the ideas, which ties back to Boudica again, or Boadicea, is that through one of these purges, I just want to check the dates on that one. That's a bit later. They were so annoyed about the persecution of the Christians that's why they went and burnt London to teach the Romans a lesson. So yeah, another way of looking at things on there. All right, so we're going to charge through a bit because I want to get to the Arthur the One campaign. So we go through the various kings, which you can read about yourself. Now then, I do need to explain some of this because, right, I won't go through all the details because it's going to be quite a long talk just going through the dates and everything. The key point about this is what you'll see throughout the history is this constant going back and forth, this to and fro between Britain and Rome. Whatever that was, wherever that was. There's Roman kings or emperors having terrible times, they got lots of deaths and murders, and then they're marrying into, they need new stock, and the only place where the royalty is kept intact is in Britain. This goes all the way back to Claudius marrying off his daughter into the royal family, and then you've got Plautius, the first attempted governor of Rome. He marries a British woman. Then you've got the situation where you've got Constantinius marrying Ellen, who was from York. So the son then, Constantine, becomes half British, and then the next son becomes 3/4 British. This is one of the things which really frustrates me, is what are the rules for when you call someone British or not? What are the rules? If you look at our current royal family, you've got the Duke of Edinburgh, who was born Greek, okay? So he is married into the British royal family, all right, or the English royal family. Elizabeth stays queen, and the children, Charles, Andrew, all those, they're considered British and part of the British royal family. No one says the royal family just became Greek. Think about it, it just doesn't happen, does it? Or people don't even say the royal family's German, even though hereditary-wise they are German. That's their background. But people are comfortable with that idea. Well, the situation you have in Britain when it comes to dealing with the Roman era, so-called, is that just by one person coming from outside Britain and marrying in, like Constantius or someone like that, or maybe Severus, who could be British anyway, everyone's Roman. Everyone's Roman. Even if they marry a British queen, and then they have children who marry British, and children who marry British, and children who marry British, so they're like 1/8 or 1/16 Roman, whatever that means, it still counts as Roman. It's really, really weird when you think about it, isn't it? Very weird. All right, so actually, talking about Severus, let's just go up to that one. So I was going to go through the different... let's do a little summary. Come on, let's do it. All right, so we got to 170, okay? Right, so then we've got... Commodus came along. Commodus was convinced then, this is the Wilson of Blackett version from the Charters. It gives you a good idea. He was convinced then to make a play for the British throne, and he added Britannicus after his name. But he was a right disaster. So he was murdered by Praetorian Guard, and then we had Severus came over, and Severus actually the one who built the wall. It's called Hadrian's Wall. And then we had competition to become the next king. Severus finally died in 211. I need to do a slow one on all this one. Right, we're going to charge through a second now. What I want to get to is the period leading up to the birth of Arthur I. Because what you have is a situation whereby you've got a British royal family which wanes in power. I think that's a better way to look at it. Sometimes they're running the whole Roman Empire. Sometimes they're just running Britain. Sometimes they're running what became the Western Empire. Britain, France, Spain, roughly. So this is the situation they're in. And this is well recorded. For example, you have Carausius. I just want to check the dates on that one, around about 285. Carausius was the admiral and governor of the island. He declared himself independent and emperor of Britain. And you'll see this recorded in mainstream everywhere. I mean, he's a usurper, they call him. So there's another period where the Romans were not in charge of Britain, and Britain was actually outside the empire. Then a deal was finally negotiated where we had a situation where there's a loose arrangement, probably a trading arrangement. So then you have 7 years of peacefully by, then he was murdered by Electus. But before he died, one of the key things he did, which ties into this campaign map and what we're doing, is he seized the ports of northern France. And this is key. This is when the start of what became Lesser Britain, what became Brittany, and they speak the Breton language. So that goes all the way back to the 280s. That's when that was established. Now there's a strange, I'm just going to use this map quickly here, which is not detailed in any way whatsoever. There's a strange quirk of geography when you compare the south of Britain with this north coast of France. It's the same problem that the Spanish Armada had, the Romans had, anybody trying to invade Britain has. There's an absolute lack of natural harbours and ports along this whole coastline, even around Brittany. Hardly anywhere you can actually proper deep harbours, whereas the south coast of Britain and all around here is full of them. You know, like Dorset, you know, Poole in Dorset and Portsmouth, Southampton, massive natural harbours. It's one of the great flukes or freaks of geography and nature that is just pockmarked with harbours all the way around this coastline. Cardiff, all up here, you got the Severn, this massive tidal estuary where boats can float up and then land on a nice muddy bottom. They don't get broken up or anything like that. So all of this is perfect for a navy. Of course, mad thing is in history, the British didn't seem to have a navy. They were incapable. Any journeys to America or anything like that has to be done by other people. But this is the place where all the harbours are, just by a freak of geography, and hardly anywhere along there. You go to places like Dunkirk and all that, they've had to kind of make harbours, and even then, they're nothing like the size of the south coast of England here. Okay, so that's when Brittany was founded, around about the 280s, okay? That's when that became British. Alright, so then we got Constantius invaded, and then Coil, the northern one, Cole, like an old good King Cole, he had then had to submit back into the Roman Empire. Alright, we're almost getting to the bit, the exciting bits. Alright, so then Constantine, the son, half British, he left Britain then to go and try and take the empire. People forget that he was born in Britain, mother British, British Christian, all that stuff about he saw the light before a battle and all that. He had a Christian tutor, the whole thing, and he's British. Okay, so as soon as he's out the country, doing more problems in the east, Oeddav, the 8th, he says, great, he's out the way, he's taking his men with him, I'm now going to be king of Britain. So once again, Britain comes out of this EU, ancient EU, and again, we're moving on. Alright, so then we have Ellen, who's the daughter. She has an alliance then with Magnus Maximus. Now we're getting on to their direct family. So the question really is, who's Magnus Maximus? And then Wilson Blackett in English, in Welsh, put Mascyn Wledig. But as David and others have pointed out, Maxon is the usual way you spell Max in Welsh. So, I don't know, Mascyn seems to be what I always say, so maybe the Latin version is a poor attempt at Mascyn. Anyway, so what have we got then? So you got Emperor Constantine, who also had a British wife. So he's 3/4 British. This is the point. What's British, what's Roman, yeah? Right, so 383 is the big year. This is how we get to this position. 383 is when Magnus Maximus declared himself emperor, and he's going to march on Rome, and he's going to claim all the marbles, all right? So he invaded Gaul, the whole of France, in 383 to take on Gratian, who's the emperor. Now his sons, the sons of Magnus, were Marcellus, Victor, which is Uther in Welsh, and this is where the story comes from of the father of Arthur being Uther, because that's Arthur I's father was Uther. He was Victor or Uther. And as it talks about yesterday, before a couple of days ago on a video, the term Uther can mean terrible or great or frightening, awful, awesome, awful. That's what the name means. And later generations became the Uther Pendragon, those 6 Uther Pendragons, as the high, mighty general. Dragon being the Welsh word for general. Draig is the word for dragon. I know it's confusing. But dragon does not mean dragon in Welsh. Dragon is general, all right? So the Uther became a bit like Julius Caesar. Caesar became a title. Uther became the title. This is the first Uther. Okay, so Uther and his other son. His son is Andragathius, also known as Anthun, Arthun, Anun. We know him as Arthur, okay? He was the Arthur. So good on this account. If we go with Mascon Ledig being Roman, that would make Uther half British, half Roman, Arthur 3/4 British, 1/4 Roman. You might say, oh, that gives a bit of credibility to those people say he's Romano-British or something. Okay, you could argue that both ways. Where it gets interesting then, of course, is, and I'll try this next week, is look at who Mascon Ledig was and whether or not he was Roman and where he was born and his whole story, which is Wilson and Blackett have uncovered that as well. It's a brilliant story, right? A brilliant episode. Okay, so what we got then? We're going to start this campaign, all right? There's a good run up to this one. 9:10, good heavens. So the British Army, about 60,000 men. And the first battle's here now. Let's go on here. So the first battle, this is where it gets interesting, okay? It's where you start to see the stories of Arthur 1 and Arthur 2 starting to get a bit mixed up. Because you've got Genevieve and what was the name of Arthur's wife again? Anyone remember the name of Arthur's wife? Guinevere, which seems very close to Genevieve, Guinevere. They're very similar names. Now I'm just going to show you here, because if you go to... Where's the pages I'd open? Alright, okay, we shall... I'll just have to... Yeah, we have a technical problem just before I went live, which didn't help. Right, so I'm just going to put in here... Genevieve, France, Paris. It's quite interesting because you get the patron saint. Here we go. This is, if I found the right entry I found earlier. Now look at this, okay? Patron saint of Paris, Genevieve, Genova, and they pushed her back to 502, alright? Wilson and Blackett, now Arthur campaign is saying 383. So you can read all this yourself, just look her up. Now she's said to have saved Paris by diverting Attila's Huns away from the city. When the German king besieged the city in 464. So which years are we talking about? Oh, I see. So she's 419. So she's lived to about almost 100 roughly. Lived a good old whack all through the 5th century. So we're saying she was a little bit earlier, and actually it was the defence against the British. And if you look further down, Clovis the First, as we get to all that trouble with Clovis, trying to bring Roman brand of Christianity into Britain. Right, so you can look into that. There were some other things there as well. If you look at their... I'll come back to it now. Hang on a second. Okay, so that's with Genevieve. So this battle is the siege is won. And then we come on to the big battle then. This is the one Soissons. That's the big battle where Arthur, Arthur was the general. Now this is the point here. Now what, the way Wilson and Blackett put it, is that Gratian and Leon and killed him. So at some point, Arthur became the general in charge of this. He was the main leader of the army. So we're coming down then through down towards Lyon, where Gratian's captured and killed. Alan tells that great story. We invited him for a discussion and a meal, and just did him in. They were tough times, weren't they? Right, now this one I have been trying... very hard to find more on this one. If anyone wants to look into this. Monica, you're near there. This Chat to Arthur near Geneva. It's supposed to be a pass. What Wilson and Black say, chat is actually cad, or cat, which is Welsh for battle. Right, so I had this lined up earlier, but unfortunately we'll have to find it again. Because I'm using Wikipedia just because it's a simple, it's not proper research, I know, but it just gives you a simple way of finding some... Let's try chat pass. Ah, great. There goes my glasses. There is a stage on the Tour de France we're looking for. Hang on, let's do it in French. Sorry, that's probably better, wouldn't it? Right. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Great. Right, I know where it is anyway. It's next to the lake. Right, hang on 1 second. Chat Arthur. Oh, that's one not putting in. Not putting Arthur in, am I? Good grief. Chat to Arthur. There we go. God, it's about Arthur. Come on, Ross. It's not that difficult, is it? Right, here we go. Now, for some reason, it's listed as Cath Palug, or Palig, which is Palug's cat, and there's no way that is a person called Palag, I don't think. Now, what's interesting here, right? We go over to Switzerland, and we'll see in a second. This is talking about the Swiss one. It's a monstrous cat in Welsh legend, given birth in Gwynedd by the pig henwyn of Cornwall. The cat was later to haunt the Isle of Anglesey, and was said to have killed 180 warriors, when Sir Kay went to the island to hunt it down. How weird is all that? How weird is all that? Now, it gets even weirder, because Cath Pulleg's French name is Chapelou, or Chapelie. Vicious poems were composed by Frenchmen claiming it killed King Arthur. How weird is this getting? They're going about a cat, not realising it's a battle, okay? Cat Palug may mean scratching cat, just one of many meanings. They seem very lost. And it's like, why don't you just read Wilson and Black and explain all to you? So Cath Palug is mentioned in just 2 works amongst the early Welsh sources. The Triads and a poem. Well, that's enough. Now, there's one more thing. It's fascinating when you bump into it. You look at the... where's the bit about where it is? Hang on. Localization. Right, here we go. The legend about a fight between Arthur and the devil cat of the Lake of Lausanne in present-day Switzerland. A fight between Arthur and the devil cat, okay? The cat means battle. So it's now considered to be localized near the Savoie region of France, near Lake Bourget. Where it can be found, here we go, Mont du Chat. So I don't know, it's none of these things. I have to spend a lot of my life doing this. I find a reference in Wilson and Blackett book and I have to try and find it and check it. I still haven't found the pass, right? So if someone can find me a reference to the pass, great. But what is apparent, a hill is there, and I'm sure the pass is there. Because they talk about this climb, the Mont du Chat. So the Chat is the battle. It's just, isn't it interesting how this has been changed over time, and how the bones of it are still there. They still know about the Welsh legend, they know about King Arthur, they know about a battle, but they can't quite pull it together. So there's a bit more research to be done on that bit. This is my day went. There's all things like this. I mean, Arthur's fight with the cat. Why would you fight a cat? And it reminded me then, a few weeks ago, with we were singing for David Sorsman Bach. Oh yeah, I'm going to put your channel up next week. Sorry, David, I didn't put the links up yet. About Sospen Vach. Well, one of the verses is, my Garth wedi scrap o Johnny Vach, right? The cat is fighting with little Johnny. I wonder if that's got something into it anyway. So yeah, have a think about that one. I think that's quite fascinating how that comes out. And I can't actually find the path that's mentioned there. So, all right. But anyway, this is where we're going down into Geneva there, so we're into Switzerland, in and out the passes, and now we're pushing down Italy into the main bits, right? So we've done those 4. Oh, if I just click one more, this is what I had to search for. Cath Palug, or Palig, whatever you say that, and Mont du Chat, which seems to be the place where Arthur's passes. So I really would like to find that, if anyone can help find it. So you know, look on it. Yeah, they find some stuff, but yeah, one of the problems there, I think Brad's trying to say there is Wilson Black, all these things check out, right? I will guarantee you this now. There's some really obscure stuff. And like, that's not on Wikipedia. I go through a few books. It won't turn up. And I'm like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? It will turn up. It'll finally turn up. They did this stuff without internet or anything. I mean, they had internet at certain times, obviously, but most of when the work was done, they didn't. And you think, how could you know all this? I just don't know how you could physically do it. It baffles me. All right. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Sorry. So on to the next bit now. Milan. All right. So we got sculptures in Modena Cathedral, dated to about 1100. Well, I'm not sure about any of the dates on anything anymore, so I don't take too much notice of the dates. Just, I think the whole date thing. Let's not go to Scaliger and all that again, because I've been doing a lot more work on that as well, on their flamenco stuff. So I really want to do another. I'm going to burst the bubble on the Greeks next, but there we go. Artus de Britannia, Arthur of Britain. All right? Yeah, the point was that with Paris, I don't have the graphics. They might be coming up. Arthur is commemorated there. Arthur is commemorated in Milan, right? So this route we've got, there is evidence along the route. This is the key. So here we go. This is what's the name of it again? Modena Cathedral. This is one of the things you can see here. These knights going to fight a siege. This is the siege. They're the people inside the castle. Look. Here's the people outside the castle. Although what you're going to do on a horse to attack a castle, I don't know. But this is figurative. And if you look very closely, you might see some writing. So make it a bit easier. Zoomed in. And there's the bit we want. Okay. Arthur de Bretagne. Sorry, Artus is Artus, Arthur. Artus de Bretagne is Arthur the Briton. So it's there. It's there. It's carved on the door. So why is it there? If it's not tying in with this Arthur the One invasion, eh? Cool, isn't it? Oop. Right. Now we come down to, this is an interesting place, Taranto. Because the seasonal references refer to Oranto. I don't know if anyone knows, right in the heel here we're talking. So I'll have to do some searching on there if anyone wants to help me, or do some searching, maybe on Google Earth or Maps or something. There's a place called Oranto, which I think must be the same as Taranto, and I don't know why there's two different names. Anyway, so what we have here is mosaic show Arthur I depicted as rebirth. So I haven't quite tracked all that down just yet, unless this is it, because this says Otranto. So Wilson and Blackett have Taranto. It's got to be the same place, isn't it? Otranto. Right in the heel of Italy. And again, look, Rex Arturius. The name, his name. It's not a case of, oh, he looks like Arthur, I wonder if it's Arthur. No, they've got a name next to it. Okay, same as in the other one. We've got the name next to it. So you can follow this trail. And this is the confusion, because like I say, this is a separate Arthur. 6 generations before Arthur II, okay? So there he is. If this is the rebirth thing, I have no idea what's going on. Some of these medieval stuff are weird. It's like 2 naked boys or something there. And there's a wolf standing up. There's other animals. Another, I don't know. And he's like, hi, my name's Arthur. So he's just waving, isn't it, with this sort of, what? Like a big flower in his hand or something. But it's a mosaic, isn't it, if you look at it? Phenomenal. So there you go. So right down the heel of Italy, we got another bit of this story. Oh, I've zoomed in. Rex Arturius. How bonkers is that? Okay, so I'm going to have to find, someone going to help me find out how that ties in with rebirth. I'd be interested to know about it. Right, so we now go up into what is, it's funny because in the book it says what's now known as Yugoslavia. And it's like, well, that shows, doesn't it? I've been known as Yugoslavia for 20, 30 years. So like Croatia or Serbia or one of those countries. No more Yugoslavia since Tito went. Right, so we're now at a major battle now with Theodosius of Constantinople. Ah, right. Yes. Now, this is another one which is curious. Because we got this place here, Poetovia, okay? Poetovia, where all the poets live, maybe. Poetovia. That's just to help me get the spelling right, because you know I'm not the best speller. It's a bit of a pain when you edit books, by the way. Not being great at spelling. Hang on, let's put that on. Oops, sorry, put me back on screen. There you go. So I'm going to type in Poetovia. Battle. Watch what happens here. This is weird, right? No. Ah, here we go. Oh, they've changed. Oh, that's interesting. So I tested it earlier. I got a different name. I got SAG. It was SAG. Right. Redirected from Poetovia. Before his subsequent execution in Pola, the Battle of Poetovia in 388 saw Theodosius' the first victory over the usurper Maximus. You see, it's there. Come on, please have the battle here now. This isn't the page I had earlier. Sorry about this. I did have these on screen. I don't know where they all went. Because the name of the battle was changed when you look for it. Let's try... Okay, let's type in as they've said there. Battle... Oh. Poetovia. So the battle is there. It's called Petuj now. I guess names just changed, do they? Oh, it's in Slovenia. Okay. So yeah, it's no longer in Yugoslavia, so that's all changed. Interesting coat of arms there. Because that is interesting. Because that's the coat of arms that Arthur I would probably had. If you go back to the stories of Joseph Arimathea, presenting this to Arviragus, that's exactly the coat of arms. Interesting. Right, where's this battle gone then? Oh, I found the battle earlier. Anyway, you saw that. Thank goodness there was that small entry in there where you could see that there was a battle in the right here. And it talks about the usurper being killed. So, of course, when we say usurper, that's another confirmation that Britain was no longer part of the Roman Empire. It had been usurped. Someone had jumped in there. Did I make a note of what I saved it? What it came up on? Right, hopefully it's on here. Ah, I've got to find it. Because what I wanted to mention as an extra thought, a direction Wilson Blackett don't seem to have gone down. Ah, yeah, this is going to be good. Because it's still there. Hang on a second. Current slide. Right. Battle of Save. Phew, thank goodness I copied this page. I can't find it now. I'm sorry there's so much text here, but for some reason it's called the Battle of the Save. I don't know why the name's changed. Maybe something to do with Yugoslavia not being Yugoslavia anymore or something like that. I don't know. But anyway. So we have the Roman usurper, Magnus Maximus. So that's the British guy, if you like, with his British army. And he's fighting... Hang on a second. The way they've worded this is confusing. And the Eastern Roman Empire Emperor Theodosius. Theodosius is Eastern Empire. Arthur's bunch was the Western Empire. Confusing grammar, because looks like a full stop there. Might just be a mark on my screen and you can't even see it. Right, so he defeated Magnus' army in battle. Later, Maximus was captured and executed at Aquileia. Alright, so you can read all about this stuff here. But it's very interesting because it's all about Gratian. Oh, hang on, I might even mention it. Yeah, because he's already been... Don't forget, there we go. There we go, look at this. Here we are. Maximus shortly invaded Gaul. See, this, if you know where to look, you can find things. Right. Gratian, however, soon alienated his Western subjects by his disgraceful favouritism towards his Scythian bodyguards and his neglect of public business, with the result that in 383 the British legions rebelled and proclaimed Emperor Magnus Maximus. Maximus shortly invaded Gaul and deposed and killed Gratian, meeting little or no resistance from Gratian's disaffected subjects. Theodosius, Gratian's appointee in the east, there's no emperor now, don't forget. Maximus is as much emperor as anybody, was now faced with the choice between ingratitude to his murdered co-Augustus and a civil war, which might, given the barbarian menace, this is a bit being disingenuous, bring the empire to his final destruction. He chose to accept Maximus in the emperor in the west. They split the Roman Empire, another example of the myth of that 400 years. That young Valentinian, represented for reason of his extreme youth by his mother. He was the third Augustus. There's actually 3 empires. But the Western Empire, the bit we're interested in, was separate. So there's another confirmation. Oh, I can't scroll down. Anyway, you can look at the rest of this. So you got the battle itself, all the fighting went back and forth, huge armies. And, Battle of Save. Right, I can find it now because I want to show one more thing about this, which struck me as very, very interesting. Other people agree. Save, that was it. Save. Right, Battle of Save. Here we go. Says Max against Eastern Roman Empire. But where's the information for this? All right, you can read about their version of events. Look. Gibbon. If you remember, a couple of months ago, where I sort of laid into Gibbon a bit and think the whole of Gibbon was a mediocre writer who was promoted way beyond what he should have been done because his account of the Roman Empire fitted to politics perfectly. It justified this sort of what Pax Romana and Pax Britannica. This is where you keep the world at peace by having one dominant power, technically superior, running everything from a central capital, Rome. It was like a parallel of the English Empire when he wrote his Decline and Fall. And how well researched that is and who fed him the information is very interesting because he was not some vigorous historian. And the amount of credence given to what he said is just remarkable. And when I was commenting on it, I looked at this. This is a great example. He is the bedrock for a lot of the Roman history. So I would go... This is one area, by the way, where I slightly divert from... Well, I do divert from Wilson and Blackett, really. Because despite their reputation and everything, Wilson and Blackett are incredibly, actually, I would call them... you can't call them mainstream, can you? I mean, the amount of stick they have and everything. But really, they're very straight up and down. They take the historical records, they read them, they study them, and they tell you what they say. That's it. All right? My mind, I have to go a little bit, hang on a second, is, why is, I think the whole thing might be a facade of the Roman history. But whichever way it's done, the British records back it up, and I go more with their version of events. That Arthur I ran this big campaign. You can look up the events. You can find out it did happen. Even in the mainstream stuff, even in Gibbon. But what they don't do, ever in all these things, is actually give their acknowledgement of them being British. It's really, really weird. Or even that they came from Britain, or the army was raised in Britain. It's strange, isn't it? Where do they think they came from? Well, they fought their way through France. Bizarre, isn't it? See, they defeat... So anyway, okay, let's get back. Sorry, it's getting late. Oh, we're almost finished. Not quite. Okay, so you can read all about this. Eastern Roman Empire against Western Roman Empire. Yeah, it's all... It's the amount of abuse Wilson and Blackett get for stuff which does check out. You just have to dig around a bit. Alright, so just getting back to this map again. Oh, which is... see what I've done. So I put the map in the bottom of the screen. I'm sorry, because I thought my head was going to be in the top left. And I left a gap in the top left, so you miss a bit of the map. Oh, you're only missing Spain. Probably get better weather than us at the moment. Right, okay, so another battle just down the road, also in... Oh, God, I guess it's Serbia these days. Yugoslavia. Sisika. The second major conflict with the Eastern Empire in 388. Ooh, check that. I think that should be 383. So Arthur won. Now, what happened was, this is where they've been disingenuous on the Wikipedia article. When they're saying, I want to save the Roman Empire rather than have it overrun by barbarians. Well, according to Wilson and Blackett anyway, and all the research I've done backs it up. He brought them all in. He's like, bring your families, bring your friends. And the army he fought with was Huns, Vandals, Heruli, Goths, whoever he could buy. And that marked the end of the Roman Empire. He might have won that battle, but the cost was to lose everything. Everything. So that's when the barbarians took over Italy, and that's when the Vandals came running through the middle, all that kind of stuff. So Arthur 1 came home. So he managed to escape from this death trap and come all the way back. And there is a little bit of a postscript on here. And there's anything else on here? Yeah. Hang on, okay. Make me come to the postscript. Give me a kick when I finish. I'll make sure to do the postscript, okay? All right, now this is from... I've redone all the family trees. I haven't changed the information, right? Just made it a little bit easier to read for King Arthur Conspiracy. Because some of the trees were typed. I mean, what can you do with a typewriter when you're doing family trees? I don't know how they did it. It's impossible. Writing these names and sticking them down. So I've just made it look a bit nicer, okay? So here we're going through the main line we talked about. All right, so here's Magnus Clemens Maximus, or Mascaledig, only son of Crispus, died in 388. I was 388, the battle, because there it is. He died 388 on the battlefield, or just after it. All right, so we've got Arthur 1. Oh, hang on a second, we need... oh my goodness, Mr. Wilson and Blackett. What happened to Victor? There's another generation got to go in there. I better check that's not my mistake before I blame them. I will double check that. So he should be in there as well, all right? His dad, son of Uther. Okay, so anyway, so here's the famous Pendragons, Tathel, Tithrin, Tithfelt, Teodric, Maurice, Arthur, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's it. Because once again with Arthur 2, so we get another imperial influence coming in with Ombroust. All right, so it's not... Oh, I'm quite finished this family tree. There should be a couple of married, who they married there. All right, so that just needs a little bit of finishing off. Okay, so this is the family tree. And the bit I want to look at, the bit we covered today, these are the ones here. This is where the breakaway from Rome, which had been broken away from many times already. This is the ones here. There's Owain, Arthur, Tathel, and then we come on down to, eventually we get to Arthur II there. Yes, now, a couple of postscripts. One is, once you've seen that campaign map, and you see it ended up Yugoslavia, next to Greece, he beat the Greece, it suddenly makes sense why he's often referred to as the King of Greece. Because Arthur II, the famous one, Round Table, Knights, all that kind of stuff, what's he got to do with Greece? Nothing, really. Arthur 1, you can see that's where he ended up fighting. He had a lot to do with Greece. That's where he lost the battle. That's where it ended for him. That's where they come back. So, if you look in King Arthur Conspiracy, in the new copy that's coming out, the full Latin is there that Wilson and Blackett quotes and translate, just to show off. So this is a bit here, Tidefal, Phyllis, Annum, Rex, Cricorum, and this is where a lot of the fuss comes from. If ever you got someone having a go on Facebook or wherever it is, there it is. Wilson and Blackett did not fiddle this to put an R in and say it says Arnum when it says Annun. No, it says Annun. Annun Rex Cricorum, but that's Arthur. Arthur, the King of Greece, okay? And the other way you can tell is if you look at the full Latin quote, don't just get so wrapped up on this being an R or an N. The full Latin quote, I might read, in fact. Page, that's a bit of note on there, 245, the original copy here. Hang on a second. Let's have a look. 245. 245. I wasn't going to type this in. Not again. So it's Hec est genealogia. Alright, so this is the genealogy. Sancti Kinnock Fili Brachen. Alright, so you've got the last one there, Kinnock. What's his name? Yeah, Saint Kinnock, son of Brachen, right? Philly Brachen. Then Brachen, Filius Marchel. Here we are, Marchel. You're watching. You're famous. You're in the books here. So Marchel was the mother. And Marchel, their daughter of Teodric. Teodric, Filius Tidefal. We're going back to that list I showed you. Tidefal, Filius Tudor. Tudor, Filius Toidfal. Toidfal, Phyllis, Annun, Rex, Cricorum. So there he is. You can see the family tree. You can see the reference to him being Arthur, King of Greece. I'll read it in English now, sorry. Here is the genealogy of Saint Kinnock, son of Brachen. Brachen, son of Marchel. Marchel, daughter of Teodric. Tudric son of Taithfal, Taithfal son of Taithrin, Taithrin son of Toidval, or Tathal, and Taithfal son of Arthur I, king of Greece. Alright, that's this line here. There they are. They're the ones mentioned in genealogies. Because genealogies, we'll leave it on there, genealogies are really, really important. And for some reason, historians won't seem to count them. As usual, almost anything that backs up the British story doesn't count. So you look at your ancestors, and if you find 3 or 4 genealogies, all, you know, if you're clever like Alan Wilson, you can match them all up, get the dates right. Incredibly powerful. I mean, it's how Egyptology was pieced together. Seems to be okay for that. So this is the line we're talking about, and this is why Anun is still Arthur, okay? Just because it's been Greekified or Latinized. All right, now it wasn't me. I said, oh, hang on a second. Sorry. Now, there was a little bit of a postscript, and all it was that to say that I'm not going to cover it all now, but I'll do a little separate video on it. But Arthur I does seem to come all the way back to Britain and hung out in Warwickshire. The throne, the ancient capital was there, although he seemed to have ruled from Doncaster at one point. I need to look more into that, what that idea is all about, much further north. And the idea was with, I'm sorry I've been neglecting my comments here. Can you move across the set? I'll have a little chat before we finish then. And he does seem to be the inspiration. I'll lead you into it gently. You probably already know this. That there's Gwr, as in the man. Gwr in the Welsh, in the English, has become Guy. And Arthur I seems to have been Guy of Warwickshire. Wilson and Blackett worked this out. But also, a long time before them, someone else had worked it out, which is always nice if you work something out and then you find some corroborating evidence for it somewhere else. So he seems to have lived out his life there, and you can see where he's buried, which is in Warwickshire, and the place Arthurstone, where Arthur's stone is. So there's the grave, there's the story. Hopefully you've seen going through the places, the commemorations of the battles, all the events are recorded, the people are all recorded, his burial site's known, everything's known. It's like, why is this such a crazy sort of mystery, isn't it? Alright, let's have a quick look on here then. The Franks then occupied the Vatican till today. Oh, that's Monica. Hello, Monica, yes. Patricia, yeah, it was all in News and Media, and that was when W&B were typing reams of data without spell check, etc. Yeah, this is one of the things, because got Patricia and Marcel, my biggest helpers on the proofing. One of the things we are doing with the books is not changing. I'm kind of a little bit fanatical about not changing the factual stuff. Even if there's something in here and you think, I think they might have got that slightly wrong, you know, I'll put a little asterisk or a footnote or something. I don't want to change anything on that front, because you'll be made to look really, really stupid when you change something, and then, heaven forbid, you find out a few months later, no, they had it right all along, which seems to happen a lot, all the time. So we're correcting mostly spelling mistakes, grammar. Marcel, thank goodness, is brilliant at grammar. So make it a little bit more grammatical, put a few more, you know, commas, for example. And then from an editing point of view, all I'm doing is making sure the flow is there. I mean, they have, because how they were producing books the way they did, I don't know how they did it. And such big books and so many of them. But you do get, as you know, all the regular fans will know, every now and again you get a few paragraphs repeated, you know, a chapter later. Or the worst one that's really hard to get your head around with editing is there'll be a passage repeated in one part of the book 8 chapters later. So I might just do a little bit. In this book, I have to say, King Arthur Conspiracy, it's such a good read. It's so well written. I mean, that's just one little... It's hardly even hits the sides in this book. There's a couple of pages. And you've got 2 volumes, both going to be probably 350 pages. There's a lot of information in there. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. I don't know what happened to the first print run. That's another weird question. Where do they all go, eh? They'll get bought up. Right, so, okay, I think we're at the end there now. Even when so I'm just reading some of the funny comments there. Someone put swear words in. I'll let you on that one. Marshall, there's some brilliant new symbolism in his beard tied to his staff. Something to do with the pole star. Oh, right, yeah, sorry, on to astronomy. So what do you want? Put some comments up there tonight, please. If you put some comments up saying what area should we go for next week? Because we could stay on this kind of area. I think the Maddox thing, looking at migration to America, makes sense with a book coming out, well, going off to printers in the next week or two. So that could be a good one to do. But I know the ancient stuff is extremely popular as well. I've also got a few requests in to do one giving an overview of the British version of Christianity, which I did a bit of tonight. But bit more of an overview of the Where Jesus is Buried book. So going through, I've done it in some of the short videos, been interesting response. Looking at the politics, who he was, who his family was, politics of Judea, politics of Rome at the time, then coming on to show how, the events around the crucifixion, and then how that ended up with the Holy Family coming to Britain, and then the evidence for that. So, that's a summary. Just had it. Right, Arnie B, get a bit tired there. Get 9:45. Oh my goodness, I'm gone on a bit. Do you want to play us out? Do you want to play a tune? Or should I play?
I can play. What would you
like? Oh, I can't. Oh no, it caught me out now. Right, trying to look at more comments. So put some comments. Any more questions? Brilliant, that'd be good. Thank you very much. And thank you very much. Keep you growing again as well. I mean, we've flown past 4,000 subscribers now. Keep passing the word. Keep coming back. It's all good fun. It was a little bit heavy this week. I thought a little bit, but it's worth covering, I think, after the first. Thank you, Ali. I had a request as well. Can I not talk so much when you play? Yeah, play that. Go on, a little bit of Mozart.
I played that last week.
Oh. Have we got something else to play? What about that Hungarian dancing piece? As we ended up in Hungary tonight. Any requests? We've got to learn some more songs as well, haven't we? Right, okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Not so many comments tonight, I noticed. People sitting back, following. What we got there? Yeah, the conspiracy to hide everything is fascinating, yeah. Yeah, a little bit more about that. And I'm also interested in... very nice. I'll also do some, at some point, some more about flamenco as well. And this idea of 1,000 years being inserted into our history. Because I think the missing link that flamenco never had is Wilson of Blackett's work. Thank you, Anne. Very nice. Yes, there's a little bit of music to play us out. And one of the things that's held me up this week, kept me a lot busy, is piecing together exactly how the whole fake history was created, starting in Renaissance times. Mostly to do with the dates, and how this history all got lifted somewhere else. Anyway, we'll come on to that. Right, okay, it's got 10 to 10, let everyone go. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that show. Bit of a long one tonight. Been a long day, because I've been researching all this all day, and trying to get those book covers finished. So let's just, if you want to start getting those pre-orders in, I think Angie's got it all fired up and good to go. So I'll just show you there. So one more look at that. I think actually we should talk a bit more about Colborough and this migration. Oh, so many things. It's a vast world, Wilson and Blackett. And not only just them, of course, Flamenco and Volkovsky and various other people. People on the wrong side of the curve when it comes to history. And there's loads more updates, loads more news. So I think we'll go. Thank you very much, Arnie. A bit more little salvo of music. And then we shall say goodnight until the next week. We'll see you then. And I'll say, I can't do it because I haven't changed the thing yet. Bit more music on. I gotta put the right caption up. Oh, I hit us right. Well done, Leon. Right, okay. Till the next time. Hello. see. Alright, I'll leave the chat on a little bit. Thank you very much, Arnie. I've had a few requests this week to play Arnie play without me talking over him. So there you go. Thank you very much, everybody. Great, and we'll don't forget, books are going up for pre-order and will be out soon. So until the next time, my very best love to everyone. Heddwch.